Hello guys and good evening, welcome to the Le Mans Ultimate ELMS Content Update Preview. Guys, it is time for more content, it's time for more updates, and it's a highly anticipated one because we're receiving a brand new LMP3 car, we're receiving a brand new Silverstone laser scan top quality racetrack, and we are receiving the original LMP2. And that is going to be a very interesting today because we're going to deep dive a little bit about into the performances of the car. We're going to start off with the LMP3. We're going to then switch over to the LMP2. And then firstly, we compare LMP2 ELMS versus LMP2 in WEC. You guys know that the LMP2 in the WEC we refer as like the baby LMP2 towards it because it is 60 kilogram more heavy. It has it's 20 kilograms heavier. It's a 60% less brake horsepower. It got RPM restrictions. It got aerodynamic restrictions. So the LMP2 that has been racing in the World Endurance Championship is a lot slower than what it actually could be as we're looking into the European Le Mans Series LMP2, which is like LMP2 as it has been before since ever. Why has that been done? Obviously because the hypercars in the World Endurance Championship otherwise wouldn't have made the big the speed difference. And on high downforce dependent tracks, perhaps such as Silverstone, such as perhaps Qatar, such as most likely maybe even Circuit of the Americas, there would have been the danger that the LMP2 car would have been faster than the hypercar. And this is why we're also taking out the Ferrari hypercar around Silverstone to see how much faster is the LMP2 or the hypercar. So that is going to be very interesting indeed. And we're going to get started with the LMP3 though, which is the first edition of its type to the Le Mans Ultimate platform. And I guess, of course, we're going to take it out at the Silverstone as per usual. We're going to do a little bit of a race, 20 minutes long, a little bit of practice before advanced options, putting ourselves the heavy railroad, of course, and a midday starting time. The same goes for the race. The qualifying we then skip. And here we go. Simplexity, yes, we are live indeed. Bigly, absolutely penicillin. This is what is the update about. And also you can see the first new edition. There is going to be top tips right there every time you're gonna jump into a loading screen. This time it's about tire management. Another time we will load into the track and then maybe we see something about virtual energy. Maybe we see something about a tire temperature. Maybe we see something about the starting sequence, just that everyone gets a little bit more insight into how the game is working in the first place. And we're looking forward to see that being rolled out throughout the game. Into the LMP3 we go. Standard setup whatsoever. I think I'm in private free practice for the sakes of traffic. Right, what is my first issue with this car? It's left-hand side drive, right? So how am I going to go forward with the camera? I think I'll leave it like that and give me a couple of moments, guys, to acclimatize with left-hand side drive. What we also have here on LMP3s and LMP2s, as far as I'm concerned, is a new tire model update. So the update that has come to GT3 on the tire model has been reworked and has now been made available for the prototypes in the LMP2 category and LMP3 as far as we are concerned. And round we go the first time, having a quick look at the tire temperature already, is still stone cold. So there has been done something to it for sure. An LMP3 car, it has traction control. It has a power cut and a standard traction control. I think just as the LMP2, the slip is linked to the traction control power cut. And we got a brake bias, no ABS, so really pure form of driving and racing. However, LMP3's got a significant amount of downforce, which in theory, as much as they are not too powerful, well, they should get at least themselves ahead of the GT3. So that's going to be something we're going to check in as well. And of course, the Silverstone track layout, we're going to talk about that throughout the stream as well. Changing the scene, you can see El Plan, what we're going to do. About the layouts, so far we only get the endurance layout, also with the pit garage just being located at the old pit, or at the old circuit layout here at the exit of Woodcote before Cops Corner. So Cops Corner becomes the old turn 1 again. Luke Duffy, hello there, how you doing? So, and this is the Cops Corner, which is very, very high speed turn, and then we're looking to a nice feature that we can see here on the left. The race logic timer working flawlessly in this LMP3 prototype car, and we're gonna check it out if that stays running as we are cutting the track. And no, that also disappears, just like the real, or just like the current lap time delta at the top also disappears. I'm not sure if there is a functionality to flick through the pages of the race logic timer, but that is an interesting feature, an interesting addition here in the LMP3 car. So, tires. Speaking about the tires, we have already said it is a new update, and as you can already see, we have much more grip than on the actual outlap. However, with the tires still being below 60 degree mostly, we disregard the rear left tire that we lit up on the spin from Stowe Corner. They are still pretty cold, and they are taking a really long time to heat up. So we see how many laps we actually need to get them onto the temperature, and that is for Silverstone. And that's interesting because Silverstone I consider being a high load track, right? So pretty much a very long period of heating them up. As we're finishing the first lap here from free practice, obviously without any lap time whatsoever. I have some reference on my dash that you can see, so we closely know where we are. Sub 2 minutes just about. Yes, exactly, I cannot adjust the lateral camera setting, and this is another off track. So we're lifting and I've put the track limits to strict, so every lap that I do go wide or cut the track limits, which seem to be very harsh here if we're comparing this version of Silverstone to the version that we've had previously on R-Factor 2. The long stop rule. Sid, I am afraid you need to help me a little bit with a long pit stop rule. What's that about? And then maybe we can check it in the race. But I would say if it was implemented, they would have made a big deal out of that when publishing the video about the updates to come. Front left lockup. An INI file for the camera. I would presume, or assume, not presume. I would assume you would need to go into the core files of the car where a lot of stuff is managed, and I think they are not accessible, or if they are accessible, they would give you at least a mismatch then in online racing, as this is where obviously a check happens whether your game file is integer or not. So yeah, LMP3 is obviously right-hand side drive. That would give me the biggest struggle about the car. Generally, how does the car feel? It feels pretty understeery as far as I'm concerned. I know I've just spun around, but that is more rather because of my traction control or my heavy right foot. But generally speaking, I feel like, and this might still be down to the tire as the front right is still below 60 degree. But it feels a bit understeery. It feels not actually heavy. It feels pretty light, but pretty underpowered as well. So you feel here the direction changes. The car is not swinging like a pendulum like a GT3 would. So you really feel the lightweight of the car. But you also feel its limitation in terms of downforce coming from the front, in terms of overall downforce coming from the chassis. In ELMS, LMP3 needs to make at least 2 pit stops, which must adhere to a minimum pit time. I am almost 100% certain this is not implemented, because it would mess with the entire code of how the game is working. Because as you know from Le Mans Ultimate, also from the World Endurance Championship, there is no such thing as a minimum lap time, minimum pit stop time. I'm utterly sorry, I still got that left hand side drive in my brain. When I look at a corner, I turn in like I'm sitting on a left hand side drive rather than a right hand side drive, which is why I'm missing every other apex on a left hand turn and cutting every corner on a right hand turn. Barkeeper Mo, no, there is not. Well, I don't think that the Pro AM guys are running the World Endurance Championship LMP2, I would assume. I think here it's just basically about the car, so ELMS is going to be LMP2 no matter what. Well, Sid, I think that would be something that the community could ask for in feature suggestions on the forum, where Studio 397 is happy to receive feedback from us, feature requests such as that pit stop restrictions, such as a Pro AM category within the ELMS LMP2 grid, stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure Studio 397 would be looking forward to receive such information, such desires, such wishes from us. And that's also our chance to ever so slightly maybe influence the direction of development from Studio 397 regarding future content updates, as I'm yet invalidating another lap. And I tell you what, I do one more lap and then I'm gonna jump straight into the race, because like, and I need to take the strictness away, because later on if you want to compare LMP2 with WEC LMP2 and with the hypercar, then if I keep cutting tracks and invalidating lap times just because it's like an off track instead of an actual cut, as you've seen the rear end being quite sloppy still. We obviously want to turn that off. Yeah, Barkeeper mode, then if it's the same tracks, if it's the same cars, like, why would you put yourself into Pro AM category? If it's down to the drivers, you would need to form that Pro AM category within driver ranks of Studio 397 on race control, but I think this is what the driver ranks are already for, basically, so no implementation of Pro AM necessary from my POV. Anyway, in the high-speed area, I would say there's pretty much grip, also aerodynamic grip, as also the tires are now finally coming into play. However, especially in the low speed or medium speed turns, this is where you really feel the missing airflow over the body, not creating too much downforce from the mechanical POV. Obviously, this is also standard setup, so I would need to dive deep into the LMP3 setup in order to improve it on the front. And at the same time, you see I try to rotate the car with the brake, doing drail braking, getting the weight to the front, therefore creating more rotation on the front, but that has the downside of the rear snapping straight away, so I can't really outdrive the understeeriness of the actual car unless I go heavily into the oversteering area, which I don't want to, because stability is king, right? It's another off track, and I'll just leave it with that, right? We're gonna jump into a race to see what it's like racing that car around this circuit, to see what the traffic is like around this circuit, to see what is the pace difference between us and the GT3s. We see LMP2 47.0, we're doing 55.8s, and then the GT3s are roughly 7-8 seconds off that. Yeah, and especially this corner. Here it feels quite bitey, and then the longer the corner goes, the more understeer creeps into the car. At least from my feeling POV. So, and we would be doing a 56.8, but we're just gonna leave it, jump straight into a race session and enjoy a little bit of racing here. 20 minutes race, we're gonna have a little bit of rain. We're going to start the next session, which should be qualifying. If I haven't disabled it, it's straight into the race. Awesome. So on the car then, I think it's like 11 laps. I'm just gonna go by the counter here, put fuel for 12.5. What I can maybe do is increase a little bit more brake pressure, but that's about it. Everything else I will most likely just leave to where it is. We can quickly have a look what is able to be set on the LMP3 car, which is preload, which you have a power diff, a coast diff that I may open a little bit more to fight a little bit the understeer. Power diff itself is entirely open, but just because like as soon as I got onto the throttle, and I think there's only like 3 or 4 differential settings, it was a bit bitey. I closed that a little bit for a bit more comfort. About the brake bias, I'll leave that for the moment. I can probably give it a notch more to the front, just for utter stability. Then we have spring rates, packers, even a third spring packer, right height, of course, all the dumpers, which is interesting. So in order to get away from the swinginess on the rear, I reduced the slow bump to help a little bit more with the weight transfer. And on the front end, I want to have a bit better turn in general, not suffer from so much understeer, which why I try to keep the weight a little bit to the front as well. And here, I just don't leave, like, I will just leave it as it is right now. We have toe in, we have ARB size and position, we have rear wing. So pretty close to actually hypercars, just like the fidelity on the entire suspension is missing. Anyway, happy racing coming up as we are... Where are we actually sitting? Is that... Ah, Wellington Straits. I was confused for a moment. Can I adjust ARBs on the fly? No, I can't, because this is an LMP3 car. You will also not be able to adjust that in the LMP2. Neither, obviously, can you adjust it in the GT3. And we just have to deal with it in the setup beforehand. Anyway, we're gonna look forward to 10 lap of racing. Then we're gonna jump into the LMP2 from the world. No, not from the World Endurance Championship, from ELMS. We want to see how good the ELMS LMP2 is going. Obviously, from the LMP area already, from the LMP2 grid, in this grid. Obviously sitting in second category. From this grid, we will already get a little bit of a pointer, as in where exactly are those LMP2s? How quick are they going to be? But it's also going to be about the feel, as we also see a little bit of a gap in the starting sequence from LMP2s, and then it's go, go, go. It's green, green, green. Good start we have. Nice Toyota engine we hear all around us, and then I try and take it a little bit easy. Tires are still cold, just about hanging on to it. The AI is super racy though. Side by side into Maggots, Baggots and Chapel. Ooh. Oh. Just about hanging on to it. And let's see, what is the draft? What is the slipstream? Update comes tomorrow, guys. This is thanks to Studio 397. Another preview that I can deliver to you as a stream, which I really appreciate. The support of Studio 397 and the actual possibility to do so. Oh, AI is really, really racy. Now we're sitting in the draft. A little bit of a bad exit, sadly. Well, the updates about the balance of performance, we can only... Ooh, that was a long lock up on the right hand side. Instantly flat spotted the tire. Positive side effect. That will give it a good temperature boost. And the front left, the front right is the most unused tire around the circuit. So here we are actually for position. Scene again. I am so sorry. I hoped I had the scene correctly, but I did not. Ooh. Proper laser scans of the circuit, and round we go. Can we stay on the outside here? Yes, otherwise bad rejoins, and there the GT3s already. Hey. So the question is, shall we just give it a restart for fun? And you see how much or how little pace difference there is between LMP3 compared to a GT3. The GT3s lose their time mostly in the corners, from even less downforce compared to the LMP3s. So let's see what we can make up. I think only a handful of LMP3 is on the grid anyway, like 8 or so. Yeah, we're sitting 8th again. Anyway, we are on our way back to the field. This is lap 2, and yes, I mean, remember there's tire warmers according to the start sequence of Le Mans Ultimate, but you can see the front right tire 61 degrees at the end of, well, 1.5 laps, as I'm again suffering from my left hand side drive disease. But you see also on the left hand side tires, not too much temperature yet already. And as much as the car is understeery, the moment I get a little bit too hard on the throttle, the rear instantly snaps. So as we spoke about track quality, laser scanned version of this Silverstone circuit, as much quality as you could ever ask for, again, from Studio 397. The curbs are really accurate. They have their own profile. Some of them are flat like this, and you can ride them good. Those are a bit higher, and you also feel the wiggling on it as you come across with the car bottoming out a little bit. Here, the heavy anti-cuts that give the car a bonk when you touch it. You see how much bumps there is over those curbs that are a bit more profiled. And then also there is cliffy edges at the like on the left hand side curb it's like this, on the right hand side curb it's like that. When you come over it, your car really drops 2 or 3 centimeters, and immediately your chassis is starting to ground on those anti-cuts on the curbs themselves, as you've seen right there. And this anti-cut is a bit flat. That one is high, and one that you seriously don't want to take is this one, because that really sends you flying. But I'm going to shoot some fire now. It doesn't sound like in ACC where you'd be like, oh my god, I completely broke the chassis into 3 parts, and the car keeps bouncing around like it's jumped onto a trampoline. You don't have that here on Le Mans Ultimate, and that just speaks for the quality. It gives you a proper hit, but you're not jumping around like a kangaroo after hitting the ground again. So what I want to say is, it makes you slower. It certainly hurts you hitting it like this as well. And yes, there is one more bump coming from the suspension that upsets your car, but after that the suspension actually works, the tire actually works, and it dampens the effects, the shocks, the entire bump, and the car does stop jumping around after the one further bounce. So that is a proper chassis, that is a proper simulation of tires and suspension, and it's collaborative play, I want to say. Much better than I felt ACC ever handled it. Anyway, once again, I'm not able to put a clean lap in. In the meanwhile, we're in the end of lap 3.5. And if we're looking at the front right tire, 67.2 degrees, so still stone cold. And on top of that, some rain is starting right now. I think I get a drive. Oh, yeah, half a point left. Gonna get a drive through here most likely. Anyway, let's turn on these wipers and see whether they actually get us something. I would need to reset some cut points though, sadly. Classic British weather, as you can imagine. Joanna, you are seeing El Plan. We are about to find out about this specific topic in the next 1.5 to 2 hours. Right now, we are testing the LMP3 around Silverstone for A, new car, B, new track and quality check. As we're coming closer to the back end of the grid, the question is, do we at some point need to change tires? Or will we actually get through the rain on those medium slick tires? Is it medium? I think it's medium. Let me check actually what you can select here in the LMP3 as we're setting up a move on on Hanger Straight. Nope. Way too conservative. So there is mediums and wets only. So just one tire category. He was using the Ferrari with the Fuji setup and only Coach Dave LMP2's setup, so who knows. Yeah, I'm not going too deep into setups, and also I'm probably taking just a Ferrari standard setup to keep a sort of equal playing field as the LMP3 is coming around us again, notching us on the rear right, sending us into penalties. Oh, I just got the green in the very last moment. No more issues with the track limits, Mitchie, please. As we're trying to fight our way through the field again. Yeah, nothing you can do with a sudden loss of talent. And I'm wondering if the track's even... Yeah, it's becoming dumped now. I mean, we're seeing what the AI is doing right now with the LMP2. That is currently hitting 47s, I think. So a couple of guys already in. We are going one more lap at least. And yeah, of course, the more downforce the track requires, the better the LMP2s in ELMS category are going to be, especially compared to the hypers. I'm slipping off the track here. Marcel, neue LMP3. It's very nice. It's a challenging car. Und die Strecke sowieso. Strecke, geilste Laserscan. Alright, so the track is getting slippery now. Time for the wets. We have still dump track conditions, but I think it should be flicking over to slightly wet in a couple of moments. And as much as this looks flamboyant and great in rotation, I tell you that was just slower. The rear tire just gives up so quickly. Marcel, it is live for the public tomorrow. Thankfully, Studio 397 gave me an early access to showcase a couple of things, such as this new racetrack and this new car, and would have almost set my skill level, but yeeks, I'm not looking very great, very good now. Anyway, here we come for the pit lane. There is the 60, and all cars are on for the wets. Here comes the LMP2s out of their garages, going for the wets. And we're doing the same in a moment. Ooh. Yeah, this is going to be tight parking for us. Oh yes, of course. I want to have wets, yes. We can start diving. I don't want to have any refuel whatsoever. Let's see whether our pit crew is doing a better job, or rather not. Just about not. Oh, what a bonk. Rain lights are on the LMP3s, blinking for better view right now. The spray isn't that much of an issue yet, but that might change within the last 7 minutes of this race. So we are very happy for seeing the rear lights of that LMP3 ahead as we're getting the undercut and side by side onto the hangar straight. How is the tire feeling? No slip slide? I would say so, yes. It feels understeery, just like you guys remember how the GT3s felt at first glance, like understeery, and it felt like that the front is not really working that well. And the same feeling I have here with the LMP3. However, if you slightly overdo it, the rear is just gonna simply snap on you, and you're spinning faster than you could actually look at. You've seen how much work it was for me to actually catch the car back, to get it back heading the right direction. on our in-lap when we still were on the slicks. Now obviously with the dreaded tires for the wets, this looks a little different. Also, we haven't had a spin yet on the rear left, so this in general looks a bit better. But still, here's massive understeer, and at the same time you need to be really careful with how you are pushing the car, because if you are sliding, you're starting to lose time straight away. And just like in the GT... No. Just like in the GT3, it is extremely difficult to catch a car sliding. But it is still possible. You just have to give it everything to save the car. Undoubtedly though, your lap time in the meanwhile, that is in the bin. So I would say this tire model is very close to the characteristics of the GT3s. We're back to pseudo iRacing. What is pseudo iRacing for you regarding the prototypes? As far as I understand, the new tire model from the GT3s has only been applied to the LMP2s and LMP3s, not to the hypercars yet. Not the most exciting tire. You mean it doesn't allow too much throwing the car around the corner? Or what is your criticism on the tire model for the GT3s that has now been put on LMP3s and LMP2s as the rain intensity comes down? And soon we will see a positive effect from the rear lights finally flashing up. I agree with the not responsiveness. It's the reason why in GT3 I am hardly feeling what the car's doing actually. And that is a concern to an extent. I agree with that. So this game looks so bad in the rain, puddles not implemented, rain visually mostly invisible. Well, it might look like that from the camera behind me, but if we're entirely honest and having a look, you can see the raindrops coming down not only on the windscreen, but also here ahead of us. We can see the spray coming from the cars. We can see raindrops on the cars. We can also see patches of water building up left, right and center of the racing line. And you will see those patches of water even more clearly in the next 2 or 3 minutes, also from this camera angle. Solly Sad, you think the LMP2 already felt super and great, no idea why they are changing it. I would have only agreed to an amount, to a certain extent, and now you can also see the pedals and the water forming on the straight. This is the final track limit, thankfully I can avoid it. So especially here on the new start finish straight, you see a shiny ground, so there is water everywhere, and in a moment you'll only see less water on the racing line. I'm not defending the rain system as such. It has flaws. We know that puddles that are forming are not giving us any aquaplaning like an iRacing. You really have to admit that iRacing got this pitch perfectly right, as we are going for an opportunistic move for the lead. How hard to drive compared to the hypercars or old LMP2 physics? I would say, for those that would say the LMP2 is a bit too tricky compared to GT3s, the LMP3 is a perfect stepping stone into getting into prototypes, because you still need to capitalize on the aerodynamic the car produces. But at the same time, it's not like you're turning in and you have to manage the rear all the time. So the LMP3 feels a bit understeery in that regard, as we are 1 minute to go. And we see some GT3 ahead, whereas the LMP2s should be the orange cars. And I think we're gonna get to like this lap and another. As we're coming closer on the LMGT3s. So acceleration duel against GT3, and as you can see, it's just like we're ever so slightly just getting away from them. Like a tenth per second, if even that much. So it is really the corners where we are making up the time in the LMP3 compared to the GT3s. I agree, Richard. You have to give that to iRacing. The rain is the most immersive, the most realistic, and also the most exciting in sim racing. I absolutely love the way this radar functionality works, that it can rain in certain sectors while it's dry in different sectors, especially in Le Mans. This could be a very interesting circumstance. But you've got to admit that it took them a while to get to that. Absolutely. Yes, the puddles have no effect as you drive over them. That is a valid criticism point. Yet though, I think there is also other games struggling with that phenomena. But I give it to you, it's correct. The puddles are sort of only visual, not having a physical impact. Yet, maybe. We never know whether that might as well come as a new feature at some point. A new railroad system. I'm not sure what they're actually working on. If that is something on their list or not. As we're coming across the line and taking the flag already. So that is the LMP3 car then on the ELMS update here on Le Mans Ultimate. And as far as I'm concerned, the camera is a bit off. So we put that into a better perspective. Awesome. Honestly, I think a good fun driving car. Not too bad. Yes, a bit understeery, but surely something you can fix with a setup. It also has this difficulty of driving. Same with the GT3. It feels so lazy, but all of a sudden it just can snap on you. So yeah, that is an interesting one indeed. But here we go with the LMP2 car, not the baby LMP2, but the ELMS LMP2 that is having 60 brake horsepower more performance than the World Endurance Championship LMP2, and is also 20 kilograms lighter. So that in itself gives it seconds and pace advantage already. And we're going to find out about that, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out the LMP3 car in the free practice now. Then I'll do the same race that I just did before. And then we take out the World Endurance Championship LMP3 and the hypercar. Not with racing, but for comparison on lap time performance. Fabio, no, I have not tried any hypercar balance of performance. I'm not actually quite sure if there is any balance of performance according to any changelog. Right, speaking about balance of performance or whatever, guys, this is the LMP3, the LMP2 with its maximum power, which is also why my dash is completely outdated. It will shine completely blue way too early. And also, what I need to do for this car is go into the settings, control, calibrate. I'm not in the gamepad. 380-degree steering range for LMP2s for me. That needs to be much more tight. Was it 400? I think it was 400. To me, that just needs to be much more tight. Nav, all these cars do have different aero packages indeed, and this is maybe something that we can show at some point as, yeah, I forgot about the cold tire philosophy. Bonk. So yeah, track is not wet, but tires are at 26 degrees as the ambient temperature is, oh my god, 14. So I'm just doing the same thing as I did in the LMP3. Sudden loss of talent, no skill, no tire temperature, no tire performance. Let me get my dash on. Now you see you have to be extremely slow, extremely careful. Probably that little kink is not even flat out yet. Just about. That kink only with a lift yet. But you see that this car has much more aerodynamical performance as the LMP3. However, I think, and that might be part of the standard setup, brake pressure is pretty low. So I need to give that one a shot. Yeah, you can hear a sound difference between this LMP2 and the WEC LMP2. You will be able to hear that, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not used to so much power, but mainly I'm not used to that low braking performance on the LMP2 because new tires. So let's see how slow we need to take Cops Corner still. That's almost too quick, as we have 50 degrees tire temperature. See the car going quicker lap by lap. Car sounds a lot more close to the car that I was used from the Le Mans Virtual Series. Janne, I don't... Penicillin, it does not have a 7th gear. Maybe it has one in Le Mans, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it never comes with a 7th gear. And also doesn't come with much brake pressure, so that's something to turn up for sure. It'll probably increase the lockups. Already in the lap after, this right-hand kink now, no issue. Is the new turn 1 flat out on 55 degrees yet? Nope. Not yet. Maybe the lap after. And also this LMP2 feels a bit understeery. I'm not sure if it's also down to the tire or whether it is down to the car itself. If I remember correctly from the LMP2 we've had so far on Le Mans Ultimate, I would have to assume it is more the tire model rather than the actual car. Especially here is a so-called high downforce track, which is why we're having all the dive planes available. And if I say we're having all the dive planes available, I can show you the dive planes here at the front of the car. So you see 3 of them, 2 of them basically, so a lower one and an upper one. And on the back side, you can see a gurney flap, or should be able to see gurney. From here, you can see it. Gurney flap. Can you see that over here? There is like a 90-degree small angle, which is the gurney flap on that LMP2 car, which is belonging to the high downforce package. So those are things that we will able to be seeing on the car chassis itself, depending on the location where we are. So you won't see a gurney, you won't see those dive planes on Le Mans, let's say, but you will see them on high downforce tracks like here, like in Silverstone or Bahrain, for example. So Corpse Corner now in 4th gear, significantly faster already. I haven't checked the lap time, sadly, that I would have been doing, so maybe I need to put a lap time, a valid one, then increase the brake pressure, take a fresh set of tires and go through the indignity of warming them up again. Not a gurney flap, a gurney flap. So the front starts to become a little bit more alive now. So I'm trying to make this lap a counting one. New turn 1, is it flat? Yes or no? I should mark on which point we are on the list. Okay, we can do that in a moment. So we go to the garage, we go to the car setup, we put brakes. A bit higher, so to 100, let's say. And then you guys are asking for... Okay, let me quickly draw something up here. Bear with me. So, I got an arrow. Da, 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 da. E and G. Need to go to my Discord and put that channel. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back. I may have effed it up a little bit, but that's a quick and dirty job. So I go to my Discord, grab the arrow. It has a missing front end. This is great. I love 5-minute bad jobs, but anyway, we gotta do it. Take it, arrow. Yes, put it. Where is it? There it is. You're fine. It's all good. Here we are. On the plan. Look at me. 2 minutes, quick and dirty job. Okay, so I wanted to get fresh tires again, as noted. hollow background on the active number. That could have been another idea for sure. Okay, let's just do it again. And I think I effed something up. I've put a light rear road on the Silverstone circuit, but it doesn't matter. We can just do all of them on the light rear road anyway. Elazar, this is a 49-inch ultra-wide screen. So, I have a fresh set of tires, as you can see, 28 degrees. A bit higher brake pressures. And now let's see, without spinning and everything, how unperformant is the tire just yet. Here the downforce helps with taking it flat out. Let's see, turn 1 of the GP layout, flat. And far off we go. So that is how little grip is available on that cold tire just yet. You also see I'm having a struggle keeping the car pointing the right direction. So it is like a long process to take these tires up to temperature and so. I did increase the brake pressure with, well, the maximum brake pedal force inside the setup. So how this works on the more ultimate, as I would say, Oichmei, thank you very much for your follow, and thank you for being a bot. I think I need to dismiss the kick stream of the chat, just for clearness. How does it working? So in the setup you can determine when you are maximum pushing on your brake pedal how much is the maximum pressure that the braking system should deliver to your brakes. So if you put if you put in 100% in your brake pedal, the car shall put only 83% out on the pressure on the brake fluid. That is how the setup is effectively working. The more brake pressure you have, obviously the more brake power and the more brake performance you get and pressing your own pedal at 100%. But at the same time you need to know very, very well where the limit is, because the operation window on your actual brake that you operate becomes much, much narrower. So with 70 it was now too narrow for me, like I didn't really lock up anything. However, if I got for a natural braking point, which was here, I would have just like shot off and overshoot the hairpins here. So with a lower brake pressure I could fix that, giving myself more braking performance, not locking up the tires, still having a good operation window for the brake pressure itself, and therefore obviously having a good time braking into a turn. Yeah, that is how this is working. So first lap time is done. Thankfully no cut laps this time on track limits. So first lap, cold tires, 48.9. Let's see Cops Corner straight away on the Delta, so we now have a little bit more tire performance already in. 2/10 straight away, just in one single corner, and actually not even a perfect weight through. Let's see Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, where you see the tire performance just coming up even further, giving us way more performance, better exits. 7/10 up we are. This is for purchase, guys. The LMP2 is not. So the LMP2 car from ELMS is going to be a free car to be available to all users without any further purchases. However, LMP3 and the Racetrack Silverstone are coming in a DLC pack 1, which is $9.99. And if you're going for the season pass, which will be 3 packs in total, that will be $24.99. So a €5 discount in total, over 30 euros. And here you can see it's almost flat out now. Turn 1, you see the tire temperatures coming up, the tire performance of that LMP2 tire is coming up even further. Braking performance is getting better, the braking zones are getting shorter. rotation is increased as the tire comes to life. Do you think the unrestricted LMP2 will compare to the hypercar at Le Mans? I don't think at Le Mans, but I think very much so here in Silverstone. And we're gonna take a look at that. We take a look at that actually in 30 minutes. Well, 50 minutes, as we want to take the restricted LMP2 out at Silverstone for a comparison for sure. So maybe one more lap. It's still valid. 46.4 in the meanwhile. 410 from Cops. And that's interesting for qualifying sessions apparently. It really appears to be you do 3, 4, 5 laps of warm-up before an actual push lap. So that is impressive stuff. That will be a huge challenge for sure. You need to have a feel when is the tire ready. Also, it will be interesting about warm-up techniques. Will it be beneficial to go weaving for the first 2 laps? Or will you actually abrade so much already from the rubber before the tire gets actually ready to attack? Like, remember, we're already down to 94% on the front left tire as we are pushing throughout the lap here. Man, this is so good. It's so good, so great to be back into the into the Le Mans Virtual Series LMP2. I really get the vibes of the old car. I think the LMP2s are much better in the low to medium speed corners compared to the hypercars. So maybe actually hypercars are going to have a chance beating the unrestricted LMP2 around here. What we can say with a 100% not security, how is it word called, and I'm trying to look for certainty. 100% certainty is as soon as it rains, the LMP2 is gonna destroy the hypercar for sure. Diablo Mike, thank you so much for your follow. So we keep in mind a 45.7 as we're going into the next session and going to start the race. On the car setup, I have a fresh tire. I also get myself 11 laps of fuel, just like actually 12. Was it too much? So 11. I'm gonna pick up one more click of rear wing. And I'm gonna adjust the brake bias a tad. Not too much. Apart from that, it is very same car on the chassis, very same options on the setups. Everything else is the same. It's just 60 brake horsepower more engine power, 20 kilograms less weight. That is the LMP2. Nick Babin, do you need to use a TC override button on LMP2 cars? You can use it. You can use it on any car, apparently. Question is it helpful? And that is always like driver's preference in the end. Brigandine TV, thank you very much for your follow, and thank you so much for joining. And guys, if you're new to this channel, if you love Le Mans Ultimate, if you're interested in more videos about Le Mans Ultimate, then please follow on Twitch, subscribe us on the YouTube channel, and most importantly, guys, give the stream a thumbs up, share it to your friends, as we are exclusively sharing a preview of the new LMP2 content, of the new ELMS content here on Le Mans Ultimate, before it drops live tomorrow, and you guys can have your own bit of it. How high is the AI in percent? I don't know, 99 or 100%, I think. It's not 100% maxed out. It shall give a little bit of a challenge, and at the end of the day, still a good fun watching it. What what the AI certainly doesn't do is taking 60 kph of speed on the grid. Green, green, green. my god. AI aggression is set to crazy though. It must be. Where is that LMP2 draft? Well, it's missing in the real world as well, I assume. I think the car really doesn't give much draft. Whenever you see whenever you saw World Endurance Championship at Spa, and they were super close into Eau Rouge, you really wondered why the hell is an LMP2 not able to overtake up the hill? Because even if they are 2 or 3/10 close, and we are currently sitting 3/10 close, there's hardly any draft in the real life of these cars. So it is super hard to do a move on them. Ooh. Oh, yes, we're still on it. Hey. No way. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you always have to leave the space. Like, where shall I left the space? I was sitting on the inside. What have I done? Nah, we won't catch that up. So what I'm going to do is, because we have had tire warmers on, I'm trying to get rid of the traffic. And then I'm trying to go for a fast lap. Just to get a comparison. Like, I'm not going to do the full race then. Because, like, this is pointless now, 25 seconds behind. Or we make it a challenge and be like, can we actually do it? That's up to you guys. Still loads of understeer in the car, I think. But it really comes back to what we've already said about the LMP3s. Who said they are going to delay their career mode? I haven't heard any of that. Yo Jack, how you doing? Hardly any slip allowed, absolutely. Certainly no slip allowed on the LMP3. I would say the LMP2 is just a little bit more lenient as it operates with more downforce. Well, the career mode was being promised to Q1 2026. So I think they're well in their plans. So, as the new tire model doesn't allow any more slip angle really, you see that the LMP2 is driving really on rails, I would say. It doesn't feel as understeery as the LMP3 did. It still feels a little bit understeery, but then I remember that the World Endurance Championship LMP2 felt equally understeery most of the time. And you know what, guys, I'm just gonna try and finish the race because there is a couple of more LMP2s. Thankfully, I'm sitting back on the left-hand side drive. Much better for me to drive. But especially here in those low-speed turns, the car feels a notch understeery. It's not as bad as the LMP3, but at the same time, you'll still be like, oh, can I have a little bit more front rotation? Which is very similar and close to what we felt in the GT3s most of the time. And here's the no slip. Like when you go aggressive on throttle, the rear steps out. I have a pretty high traction control setting with a 5 in the power cut, so it doesn't actually allow me to get into the slide as well. But just from taking that hairpin with a little bit of aggressive throttle on the exit, you can already see that the slip isn't really something that you want to have. Same here, I have to immediately almost go full lock to the left in order to catch the car, get off the throttle, bring the car back into balance. So that is very, very similarly to the GT3 contenders. Regarding the tire model here in high-speed turns, the aerodynamic absolutely pulling on the car. Waggo54, thank you for your follow and welcome to the stream. And here, as you rely on the tires, as you rely on the downforce to push down the car, it's a fun car to drive. It is not as challenging as the LMP3, I would say, just simply because it rotates a little better. It doesn't suffer from so much understeer as the LMP3 does, simply because its aerodynamical performance on the front end is a little bit better. Hence, the car in itself is, I think, a little bit easier to drive, especially with the rear. The rear doesn't feel as snappy, the rear doesn't feel as random, and it feels a lot more planted, at least here on the standard setup. So that is, I would say, a bonus. I think this LMP2 car is much easier to drive as it was before. However, I'm saying that over the unrestricted one. We're gonna take out the restricted one in a moment. Now, of course, you can make it oversteery with the setup, and you probably have to gain some pace, but just generally out of the box, this car feels pretty awesome to race. As Jack indicates, it looks very fun. It looks following my commands. It looks pretty planted on the road. It looks pretty... yeah, still understeery from the balance, but overall it appears to be well over the curbs, despite an LMP2 chassis is pretty rigid as we're gaining to the cars ahead. Jack, I think you're gonna have an awesome time in LMP2s. I would probably prefer the ELMS LMP2 over the baby LMP2, the WEC LMP2. Just because more power, just also because it is 20 kilograms lighter. It doesn't feel as lazy and heavy. Car's pretty pointy and high speed, but that is really good. So we're on the back end of the LMP2 field. Let's see whom we can jump with a good strategy call. So no box yet, but we're commanding the box. Now we're taking different lines in the hope that we can line ourselves up on the outside here. Yes, very nice, very nice. Can we get the corner at least for one LMP2? Yes. There's another one hit pit lane or a fresh set of heavy wets. Well, there's no heavy wets, it's just wets, but we're slipping off in the draft. Side by side into Maggots, Backets and Chapel. You probably can only do that with AI, as this is really where they then start giving way. So I may agree it's a couple of percent too light, maybe, or too easy. But obviously we're here for showcasing reasons rather than full flamboyant esports driving. We're gonna do the esports stuff in next week again. Stop for the wets is needed, yeah, as the track becomes wet enough for building puddles and getting 60% of wetness. And it's also getting to be wet enough already for making the LMP spin. The tire temperature is still up there, but I'm pretty sure it's going to start decreasing once we are on the Wellington Straight. Although I think tire temperature isn't necessarily the issue, it's more the contact patch being wet. Here comes the understeer and the oversteer straight away. Have to already manage the car a lot. Is it dumb? Should I gamble for another lap or not? But then I'm like already losing seconds into this area here. I think it's time to box really. It's getting wet enough. And all over the sudden, this is a big drama. Oh, this is also big drama with the penalty. Unlucky. So I'm probably not going to serve the penalty for the racing reasons, but also at the very end of the pit road with LMP2s as well. That's interesting. And I don't like that. I may not even hit 60 kph before being at the line. Eh? Refuel? Nah. Why refuel? Probably just a bug. New tires have more understeer for sure. Yes, 100%. New tires have a lot more understeer in it. Yeah, drive-through for the speeding. As expected. But I think we've got ourselves a couple of positions. Oh. Yes, get me the penalty for overtaking off track. It's actually not even worth a penalty because I lost positions here. Oh, yeah. I call this sudden loss of talent on my end. Nice recovery spin though. So, all the spots gained, ungained again. Yes, Crispkind. Nice catch. P13. Yeah, the only thing is I think on the wet tire you don't need that much temperature as I've had them in. Oh, another clip. Ay. The misjudgment today is real. Misjudgment in many areas actually. So that is an interesting POV though, as we can now probably also see what happens if you're burning up your rear tires on the wets. Because tire temperature on the wet isn't necessarily a great thing. You 2D guys are all cheating with these views. Exclusive opinion. Oh, here you see, burned up rubber is nothing you want to have. So, in that point of view, I already effed myself pretty up with the first spin, not giving me any tire performance at all whatsoever. Let's see if I can actually get it a little bit colder again. The rear already feels like I'm not having any rear whatsoever anymore. John in VR, I can even sit on the dashboard. I can set it up that way. I can even sit here on VR if I want to. I just need to recenter myself somewhere back at the rig and then jump into the car. And I can literally recreate the same thing. So, that's same. Okay. Wow. The rear is still so slidey. I mean, I lost like 30% of the tire wear anyway. But let's see whether we can get the temperatures down and actually get some balance in the car again. But I think we're coming back at the point of comparing the cars. So a 45.8 we did in free practice, if I remember correctly. Can some of you guys go back into the free practice session? What was the lap time that we did there? What is 46.8? I think. Was it 45 set? Oh, I think I need to go back myself real quick, and I'm going to do that right now. So, let me see. What was my pace? Bear with me. So Blackstorm was right, 45.7. Let's see what the baby LMP2 is doing then. I should not go into... Can I? Yes. I need to go into WEC now. And then get the LMP2. Here we are. And here we also can have a Michi car now. That's a new feature as well. We're finally able to put out our own liveries in free practice. Our own liveries literally everywhere we head into the game. Maybe not co-op, I'm not sure. But any online server, any practice server, any offline session, we can now finally take our own liveries to take some awesome pictures. You're gonna call a 48-ish. So 20 kilograms is at least around here, roughly 4/10 alone. Paired with 60 brake horsepower missing, I would be surprised to see 48s. I think it's more being 50s, maybe high 49s. But you know what? Let's just give it a go. So, and you guys will immediately recognize the low RPMs and how much more lazy this car will be. So early shifting, like the engine is not actually really screaming, right? Oh, and it's such a heavy tank, which in hindsight makes it easier to heat up these tires. What did I forget? Exactly that. I need to obviously put the brake pressure here as well to 83, like that. Get fresh tires. Do it again. Yeah, you already feel a sound difference because the LMP2 of World Endurance Championship only revs up to 8k, whereas the ELMS LMP2 revs up to 8.5k. And additionally, the 6th gear on the ELMS car I think goes even to 8.75k. Whereas on the World Endurance Championship, it goes to 8.5 then finally. Which is why you feel a big difference in the gears. Listen to gear 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. And then listen to gear 6. So 4, 5, 6. And that goes way up higher from here on. ...2006 Toro Rossos? What was the deal with that car back in the day? What have I missed? So let's see if we can take turn 1 flat out on the first lap already. Nope, not quite. But I think it wasn't as severe as with the other LMP2 car. Simply because we probably approached like 20 kph less. Ah, yes, they were on a V10. I can't remember though whether they sounded too different though. And incidentally, and I think it's just a coincidence, it's not really a fact, but this baby LMP2, how I tend calling it, it doesn't only feel low in power, it also feels low on performance, low on aero, but it is the same car at the end of the day. The same chassis, the same physics, more or less. Obviously some different regulations when it comes to aerodynamics as well. But generally speaking, the LMP2 in the World Endurance Championship shouldn't be significantly worse than the ELMS, as we are coasting down into Mackett's, Beckett's and Chapel. Apart from the 20 kilogram, the car should have like the same characteristics. I forgot something. Why haven't you guys made me aware of that? We are now here. I'm running straight away into the rev limiter because I'm already from a listening POV. I'm already used to shifting later. And also, I don't know why, but this WEC LMP2 feels more tricky to drive. Maybe because you're not having the power, you're trying to get the power down more early, and therefore being less careful with the throttle. It's just there is no booms, no power. Oh no, my power is gone. It is 20 kilograms heavier in WEC, yes. But those 20 kilograms shouldn't be that feelable. So the first lap is an off-track lap 51.2. Car rotates a lot more on the brake though. Anyway, still 60 degrees tire temperature, so I think there is like 2 or 3 seconds still in it, so Crispkin might actually be alright with a 45, with a 48. It's fine, Kenji. It's a good shout. But I just, you know, I need to remind myself. Which would be a track where we would think that the LMP2 in ELMS is faster than the hypercar? Would we agree with Sebring maybe? Too short straights, too many low to medium speed corners. Oh, 5th is too short, 6th feels too lazy in this GP layout turn 1. It's insane. Completely nuts. I gotta admit, this LMP2 feels a lot more understeery than the ELMS one. So 4960. What do you mean by offset of the view? Matze. Just King JB, hello there, thank you for joining. How feel the new bump stop physics? I don't know to which cars they apply. I haven't checked too much about the changelog on bump stop physics, like also my latest setups. Never really look into the bump stop because I think it's mostly a GT3 thing, and the only GT3s I was racing is fixed. So I haven't really had a look into it. Paul Port, thank you very much for joining. Welcome to the stream. That's an off track. And it's even slower. So interestingly, the baby LMP2, despite being slower, it cannot take this corner flat out. Whereas the ELMS LMP3, if I'm not mistaken, was able to go flat out. So that's a significant difference. Yeah, Matze, that's the cam angle. Because the middle of the car, I can show you on the next straight. As where the wiper would be, that would be the middle, if it was the middle. The middle of the car is, or like middle of my seating position is here where the antenna sits. But the middle of the car in the screen is to the right. Okay, I'll off-track this one regardless. Like, I just want to see, can we get to the 48... What was it, 48.7? That's Blackstorm indicated. And Crispkin said 48 low, right? Or 47.8 by Blackstorm. Hey, Erwin. Yeah, but... like, in all honesty, even when building hypercar setups, I haven't looked too much on how the bump stop would work. And obviously, since I'm just testing for the very first time, I wouldn't feel a difference straight away now. No, like, yeah, okay. 45.75 is what the ELMS LMP2 did. So, and I think I'm already at the point where there's crossover between a fresh tire and a warm tire. I'm gonna do one more lap. Then we're gonna take out the hypercar. And then you guys can put requests of what we should do in 0.5 others. I have one thing to show you. Always speaking about other. So, this time this looks still valid. I'm really looking forward to hear your guys' opinion when you are able to drive both LMP2s, and I would appreciate if you guys come back and put the comments in the comment area below about your feel of the cars. Like, I can't help it, this WEC LMP2, it feels even more understeery and lazy than the other one. It feels like it also has a pretty different front aero package. DLCs are going to be $9.99 per pack, or if you want to get all 3 packs in the season pass, then it's $24.99. So now starting to already get slower. So I think peak lap time would be low 49, high 48. If I didn't F it up. Yeah. So the WEC LMP2 is never going to be my favorite. That's for sure. Now he said 22 because there is currently a €10 a 10% further discount on that package bundle, but the regular price is going to be $24.99. So, moment of truth. Hypercars. Paul Lapaya, thank you very much for joining. How are you doing, buddy? Thank you for your follow on our Twitch channel. How is the hypercar going to do? Adjust the arrow on the list. Absolutely, that's what we're going to do. Daniel Joseph, British Heritage? No. Like, you have a different pricing in British pounds, but I don't know exactly what's the rate between that. The LMP2 of the World Endurance Championship is looking indeed very heavy. That is the car that you've just seen when joining right now, Paul. I may take out the LMP2 again after we took out the hypercar, just to get another direct comparison. And I'm also gonna go standard setup in the hypercar, just to make things a bit more, I don't want to say realistic, but yeah. Have it an equal playing field. And no updates to the hypercar model, sadly. Which is why we're probably going to see the hypercar tire heating up a lot faster. We'll see about that. Yeah, basically the hypercar tire is already heated up now. More or less. The quick question is Bob. We don't know about Bob. We haven't seen anything in the changelog, right? So the hypercar feels certainly more... Ah, that's why I was struggling so much. I'm sorry. Settings, controls, calibrate. Back to the 500, please. There we go. Oh, yeah. That turn 1 should be flat in a moment. I'm not too sure whether the hypercars are going to be that much slower, if any slower, compared to the LMP2 in the ELMS. Maybe in Silverstone it's just too much high-speed tracks, too much high-speed corners. And maybe, and I'm really making this up, maybe the old tire model of hypercars are also a bit faster, generally speaking. Just because you can push that tire even harder. That is an off track. But just as you can see how much you can throw that hypercar into turns, I couldn't even throw that ELMS LMP2 like that into turns. Now, if there is a BOP change coming with the update, it should be in tomorrow's release notes. But something feels different on that Ferrari. I'm not sure if it's the standard setup around here. But the car behaves differently. It feels a bit lazy most of the time on throttle, but the way it kind of snaps on the rear at times, like the rear is pretty imbalanced. And for a Ferrari, I have to admit, it has quite a strong pull around in slow corners on the front end, hasn't it? Hey Marco, I'm doing good, I'm doing alright, how about you? Update is fun, Silverstone is a top-notch track. Great quality, looking forward to be racing here, traffic's going to be interesting in all the high-speed turns. Out of the update, I think the LMP2 is going to be my favorite car, strictly followed by the LMP3. And I've just made sure that the LMP2 of World Endurance Championship is not going to be my friend anymore. Despite it is mostly the same car, it feels entirely different. So, tires are up to temperature in the hypercar. Completely missed Stowe corner. Sorry about that. Lap times at least still valid. I can't say what it is. This hypercar still feels different. I can't take that corner flat either. Seems like only the ELMS LMP2 can do that. But then hypercars have much more brake horsepower, I assume. And they are even more heavier again because of the massive batteries. Sheetinator, it's different cars. It feels a lot like back to R Factor 2, but you can't slip slide it anymore. New tire model, new physics. It is, I would pretty much say, incomparable. As anything that comes to Le Mans Ultimate now is going to be incomparable to R Factor 2 in the meanwhile. So, 45.4. So I'm gonna invalidate this lap, of course, again, as it was a 45.3. And guys, you know what? I'll take the LMP2 out again here and see whether I can beat that Ferrari hypercar track lap time. And then we're gonna have a look into some Motec to see where is the difference between the cars. Yeah, Blackstorm, I agree. The hypercar looks much faster, but I think it's not. Like, it looks much faster, but it is not much faster. It is faster indeed, yes, but I think it's marginal. Like, not substantial. Put it into rain and it's going to be slower. Ah, Marco, congrats. Never easy to win the race in VMS, so good stuff. Tell me more about the race. How was it? How was competition there in gold? I assume it was gold. So, do I give it one more lap? Coming for a 44.89 something. Yeah, another invalid one. Front left tire, we're 2.2 versus 1.8 in the back, so I wouldn't say over significant. Pretty much within expected limits. I agree, I would need seat time as well, indeed, in order to build a setup for it. I would assume they did. So now flat out it's not possible. Then I think we lock in a 44.9 and then we're gonna take out again the ELMS LMP2 here. Because I think if I nail the lap with the LMP2 of ELMS despite default setup, I think there is potential. Tom Tillman, our friend, we're gonna take his livery. Let's go. Ah, Marco. You call it plain sailing, I guess. Very nice job. The most unspectacular races are those that are the most dominant, right? Yeah, the thing is, Platinum is a Ferrari Cup, and it really comes down to what is going to be the balance of performance for these hypercar Ferraris. If they're not getting 30 to 50 kilograms per track, roughly, maybe 50 is a bit much, but like between 20 and 40, depending on where we are, I don't see the possibility of the BMW having any chance whatsoever, sadly. But okay, that is what we've calculated in. Okay, so out in the LMP2 then. And back to 400 degrees on this one. We still leave the arrow at shaking with the hypercar because this is part of the hypercar reconciliation. But you see the difference between the tire models straight away, right? If you lose that LMP2 tire, no chance of holding it. If you lose the Ferrari hypercar, just full yeet against the driving direction and you're eventually gonna catch it. Here in the LMP2, this is much more dangerous. First lap crash outs are going to be significantly higher, I think. No change in the tire model of hypercars yet, no. Sadly. Yeah, I think that in VMS the competition within their splits is like just about right. They put a good matchmaking for that one. Now the ELMS LMP2 also feels a bit lazy again. Wow, but there's so much more power when you hit that cut-off button. Well, let's go for the first lap time. Tires are still stone cold. Remember, hypercar tires were up to over 70 degrees after the first lap. This LMP2 I even haven't reached 50. Hey Warstars, how you doing? Warstars, you can, well, not seat position, but about field of view, you can watch a tutorial on my YouTube channel. So if you go for playlists and tutorials, you'll find the field of view tutorial Other than that, seating position, once the field of view is right, is completely personal preference. But don't bottom out over the curb. I think next lap I can try attempting it flat out. You're welcome, buddy. Yeah, and again, guys, if you're new to this, if you enjoy this, if you love Le Mans Ultimate, please give the stream a thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitch if you haven't done already. Would appreciate your support on growing this community. And then, of course, we're gonna have more streams this week. On Wednesday, we're going to take part in the Welcome Party race. Maybe also gonna do that tomorrow, or maybe gonna go into the dailies. Let's see. I think tomorrow is going to be a bit spontaneous. Track limits 61 degrees, so tire's still not up. We need to push it harder. But you can see already on the Delta timer that we're making huge progress as the tires are just 20 degrees hotter, 47.4. So how much we're locked into a 44.9, 2.5 seconds? I'm really interested to see what tire temperature is gonna make in terms of a difference. Gianluca, hello there. How are you? What would I change about the hypercar model? I would want to get the slip angle possibility gone as well. If you overdrive the car and the rear snaps, you should have a handful of loads to do to even catch the car. But certainly not have the possibility to make that slip work out for you in terms of lap time. That shouldn't be the right approach. And right now, this is how the hypercar is working. If you can drive it on point on a certain slip slide angle between, I don't know, 3 and 6 or 3 and 7 degrees, this is where you get most out of the tire. So can we heat up that front right for a bit more performance? And that front left also for a bit more performance. And then we try getting as close as possible to that hypercar time. So 1 second up. There is a special event going tomorrow and on Wednesday on Le Mans Ultimate. ELMS release party or whatever it's called. Maybe should have stayed in first. Guys, not gonna lie, we're gonna get pretty close to that Ferrari lap time. Almost flat out here into this new turn 1. Slightly missed that apex, sadly. I think if I get a better exit out of this particular turn, I can take another 2/10 or so more onto the Wellington straight. And guys, we're just 4/10 off the Ferrari. We're actually just 2/10 off the Ferrari. Holy moly. 45.1. Can we get another one out of this? Yes, we can. Overshot into Klopp a little bit, sadly. So I lost the 10th and a half there. Can I keep it pinned completely? I think with precision, yes. I wanted to get that 10th. And I almost effed it up. And this time I effed it up. Was that the last chance of the tire? I feel like the tire is now starting to fall off. Not fall off, but get the first dip. Yeah. I think the tire has just peaked last lap. Yeah, keep trying. This is too costly. You need that little small lift into the turn. Tires are cooked. Not cooked, but you know, the peak rubber is gone and so on. Anyway, I think it's time to have a look into the data then. Another lockup. Yeah, I think it's time to have a look into the data. So we return to garage, wait for the beep beep beep. Where is the beep beep beep? There's the beep beep beep. And we exit this, and I take a look into my folders. And we open up. Hello. That hypercar run at Silverstone. And then we're also opening up that last LMP2 ELMS run on Silverstone. Oh, yes, we know. And then we find out that we're just 2/10 apart from each other. So, change of scenes. Because otherwise you won't be seeing that much, right? This is the difference between LMP2 and the hypercar. The ELMS LMP2. And this is also the reason why they have nerfed the LMP2 into a World Endurance Championship configuration, because here we see some variance, and you see that the variance in the end is considered 3/10. And we're also seeing where the variance is being gathered. So we're gonna have a look first of all here with the track map, and then later on with the statistics, because I'm not with the statistics. Track report. Can I have a look into the track report as well? But this is the one I wanted to see here. First of all, let me get track data to see. I don't need this one. Can be deleted. Yep. Just put that here. And this section can be deleted. This I don't care. Like it's too much of it now. Probably need to generate new track, generate sections. Gets me even more, so it's 75 threshold. Yeah, much better. One more correction. Straight 6 and 7. Deletes. Okay, perfect. Almost perfect. Turn 2 and 3. You know, delete. Delete. That's enough of it. Okay. Right. So on the inputs then, here you can see through Cop's Corner, like obviously up onto Cop's Corner, the straight line speed difference between Hypercar and LMP2 is just 13 kph. It's not that much, is it? Then it's pretty much LMP2 is even faster here in the high speed areas, and then eventually takes the lead over the Hypercar in high speed up until 1.5 tenths. It doesn't really feel like it in the Ferrari. The Ferrari feels like blistering through it. Then the Ferrari makes up roughly 3/10. We can probably see better from the worksheet. Straight 4 to 5, 12.2 versus, where is the fast lap? 12.5. It's a little bit more than 3/10. Sorry. And then high speed area. I think I effed this up a little in the Hyper and in the LMP2. So then comes the chicane, and in the low speed turn, I'm surprised, but this is also where the aerodynamics is pretty, the aerodynamical grip is pretty low. So this is probably where LMP2 and Hypercar are sort of the same. Then the Hypercar is a bit worse off in the traction area here, but then obviously gains through its power, and then shines the LMP2 because it can take this corner flat. Yeah, you see here the speed difference. Probably need to turn that down a bit so that the curve becomes a bit more up. By the entry, we're 10 kph faster in the Hypercar, but at the apex, it's the other way around. It's where the LMP is then 12 kph faster. So the minimum speed is 10 kph higher or 12 kph higher. And that speed difference is never going to caught up entirely by the Hypercar, by the approach of this new turn 3. So this is where the LMP2 is gaining almost 2.5 tenths. Then, to my surprise again, in the low speed area, the cars are pretty equal. Like we enter turn 3, 80 thousandths off. We exit them. This is probably the exit. Yeah, you can probably say it's just the same. I haven't had a perfect job in the LMP2 around that second hairpin. Then on the straight, LMP2 is losing out again. And then this is interesting. And here you see the aerodynamical performance. Despite the LMP2 is coming there a lot closer, you see the absolute same brake performance here. Pretty much so. We're hitting the brakes at the very, like here we're completely even over a couple of meters. Look at the variance. It plateaus off. Like here, the Hypercar goes away until we hit the brakes, and then we're actually even up until 2 or 3 thousandths for at least, what is that distance? 4,950 to 49, yeah, almost 5,000 for 50 meters. Performance of both cars is absolutely identical. And then it's LMP2. Yeah, I think that the corner is just a little bit too quick, and the Hypercar is just a little too heavy. And then obviously on acceleration, LMP2 loses out again. But it's fascinating, isn't it? Fascinating to see where is the difference coming from, actually. Do the ELMS also use Dunlops? We'll see about that in a moment. I think Goodyear's. They have Goodyear tire here, whereas I think the LMP3s, they have Michelin. LMGT3s, they have Goodyear's. And the hypercars have Michelin, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Michelin tires. So, let's move on to others. And others is a little bit interesting because there is not too much going on in this update right now. But a couple of things are worth mentioning. And we're starting off with the ELMS car, I think, that has full dive planes. And I'm talking about those full dive planes as we are on the high downforce track. However, if we're changing to a low downforce track, such as Imola, or better say actually Monza, then we will see less of these dive planes at the front. You guys remember about seeing the high amount of dive planes when we started the stream at Silverstone? And I'm gonna to change scenes for that now because it's easier to see with that. Here, once loaded into the screen, and I'm taking my gamepad for that reason now. You're gonna go a little around the car, and I hope I don't get effed up because some of these settings for making pictures is a bit off. Actually, I put myself on the outside of the garage. It's much easier to see then. So, yes, I do have full control. I mean, I should have full control, but as you can see, I'm stopping the car. No dive planes whatsoever on this LMP2 here at the front nose, so nothing that creates any downforce whatsoever as far as we're concerned here from the front end. However, on the back end of the car, we also see no gurney flap whatsoever. I'm putting the car into a little bit more of a perspective so that the sun is shining on the wing. Probably like that, it's best to see. Can I get a bit closer? Yeah, thank you so much. So there is no real gurney flap. You see the leading edge of the end of the rear wing, here you see it best, is completely flat. It's completely tiny, right? So no no gurney to see here at all. Not sure if I can show any better. Sorry, skill issue with the controller. It's somehow inverted to an extent. But here you can see a flat wing with no gurney flap whatsoever. So that is one detail that we can see. Yeah, a flat wing, no gurney on it. So we're now going back at Silverstone in a moment and show you the difference. Bruck GT, thank you so much for joining. How you doing? The Logitech Pro, I don't know, to be honest. I have, sorry, a Fanatec DD Pro. I think the DD Pro has a known issue on Le Mans Ultimate, so I would not recommend any Fanatec gear, if I'm not mistaken. If I was you, I would get some Huizenfeld Sprint if you were about the pedals, because they are extremely reliable and they really feel well and all right. And if you are looking for a wheel and a bundle, I would probably actually check out Musa. There's a reasonably priced direct drive equipment there, or a SimuCube, of course. But SimuCube is already on the higher edge of the price pool already. Anyway, we were talking about features. We were talking about the LMP2 car having interesting graphical features here with the new drop of content. I haven't driven Musa either, so All I do know is that there is an issue regarding the Fanatec DD wheelbase. Anyway, guys, coming back to the LMP2, and we are starting off with not getting effed with the controls, but you can see it already here. Where is the button for forwards? Then we do it like this. Dive planes. Lots of dive planes on... If I didn't knew that it was me setting up this controller for taking pictures, I would actually be fuming about it. But okay, like on the front end, you easily see the big dive planes on the front creating lots of downforce. However, on the rear end, and this is for a high downforce track, you not only find that the rear wing is probably a bit more set into the air, you'll also find a gurney flap on it. Yeah? You remember the difference or the edge of the rear wing from Monza? Now have a look at this. This is not clean. There is like a 90-degree flap on it. So a proper gurney flap. On top of that, I think the wing is just a little bit more shaped. It's a little bit more in the air. But the main point I'm trying to show, and I'm trying to really get down. Yes, and a bit upwards again. A bit closer. Maybe we can take the car into a different perspective for some sunshine. Yes, sunshine. So we probably need to put it in the other direction. Ah yeah, we have sunshine in the garage, so that's great. Bear with me. Perfect. On the left hand side, we pretty much see it now. That there is this gurney flap at the top of it. Standing 90 degrees into the air. There we are. Here we have the gurney on the top of the leading edge. So there is a lip compared to the Monza version of the car. Also, you see that this wing is a bit more shaped up, so creating more downforce. I think on the ELMS version, you would find this is the gurney flap of the engine cover from the back. And I think this is only a feature for the ELMS. Let me see in the quick research that I did. The LMP2. It's only a feature for the LMP2. The WEC low downforce configuration at Monza has the engine gurney gone. So this gurney that you can see right here, which is like also a pretty intense gurney flap. We're rotating, and now we're looking onto the wing. There, down there is the gurney of the engine cover. That is pretty significant. Maybe we can have a look into the engine. Should probably not do that, but actually the cam doesn't let me. But we can have a look into the cockpit and into the engine. I'm sorry. Anyway, you see something interesting. You see how the suspension is working down here. Funny, isn't it? Okay, enough of that play here. So we've seen the gurney on the back end of the car, and now we're going to jump into race weekend. WEC, Monza, LMP2 car, and then we should not see a gurney flap on the engine cover. I hear the girlfriend screaming out of the living room, biting the dog. I think he's pretty frappy right now, so I'm gonna have a look soon. And as in soon, I mean like in 5 minutes, because we're coming to an end of the stream here after we've checked about the gurney flap on the engine cover. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the stream. So here we come, LMP2. We don't need to talk about any more about the dive planes, right? They are missing on the World Endurance Championship version here as well. However, the... no, this has a gurney flap. Have I effed something up on my research? Yes, excuse me. The LMP, the LMP2 on the WEC configuration always has the gurney on. The only car that does not have the gurney on the engine cover. Oh, hang on a second. LMP. Maybe I'm wrong here. Yeah, anyway, I think maybe I've picked the wrong car, but I think the gurney flap down here should be gone. And that I'm on the right car. It's 63 liters. And maybe the gurney is just so hard to see down here. Like you see, the gurney is gone on the rear wing again. I think that gurney flap, the black carbon thing that we see down here at the back end, I think that should be gone as well. But that might be me having done a mistake somewhere. And before I'm going to do more mistakes, I just press Alt F4 and say thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, if you have appreciated the stream, please have a thumbs up on the YouTube video, on the YouTube stream. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Twitch. Tune in tomorrow when we're going to race the car in the public again. When we're going to race in daily races, maybe in the special event. We're gonna see. We're gonna speak to Yanni to see what we're going to do together there, perhaps. And with that, guys, I say thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. And I hope you're looking forwards to the top quality DLC that's coming tomorrow. $9.99 again for a single pack, $24.99 for all 3 packs that are coming. So there's obviously 2 more tracks coming and I think 2 more cars. That is the deal. And I think it's a bargain. Remember, in iRacing you would pay 25 euros for at least 1 car and 1 track together. So I think it's a no-brainer, especially as I personally think quality of tracks, quality of physics, quality of cars is better on Le Mans Ultimate anyway. Guys, I say thank you so much for watching. Have a good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Happy release day tomorrow to all of you. And till then, I say thank you for watching and bye-bye.